Freedom from All by Neville Goddard. Chapter 1 The Oneness of God. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one Lord. Hear, O Israel, hear, O men made of the very substance of God. You and God are one and undivided. Man, the world, and all within it are conditioned states of the unconditioned one, God. You are this one. You are God conditioned as man. All that you believe God to be, you are. But you will never know this to be true until you stop claiming it of another and recognize the seeming other to be yourself. God and man, spirit and matter, the formless and the formed, the creator and the creation, the cause and the effect. Your Father and you are one. This one in whom all conditioned states live and move and have their being is your I am, your unconditioned consciousness. Unconditioned consciousness is God, the one and only reality. By unconditioned consciousness is meant a sense of awareness, a sense of knowing that I am apart from knowing who I am. The consciousness of being divorced from that which I am conscious of being. I am aware of being man, but I need not be man to be aware of being. Before I became aware of being someone, I, unconditioned awareness, was aware of being. And this awareness does not depend upon being someone. I am self-existent, unconditioned consciousness. I became aware of being someone, and I shall become aware of being someone other than this that I am now aware of being. But I am eternally aware of being, whether I am unconditioned formlessness or I am conditioned form. As the conditioned state, I might forget who I am or where I am, but I cannot forget that I am. This knowing that I am, this awareness of being, is the only reality. This unconditioned consciousness, the I am, is that knowing reality in whom all conditioned states, conceptions of myself begin and end. But whichever remains the unknown, knowing being, when all the known ceases to be. All that I have ever believed to myself to be, all that I now believe myself to be, and all that I shall ever believe myself to be, are but attempts to know myself, the unknown, undefined reality. This unknown knowing one, or unconditioned consciousness, is my true being, the one and only reality. I am the unconditioned reality, conditioned as that which I believe myself to be. I am the believer, limited by my beliefs, the knower, defined by the known. The world is my conditioned consciousness objectified. That which I feel and believe to be true of myself is now projected in space as my world. The world, my mirrored self, ever bears witness of the state of consciousness in which I live. There is no chance or accident responsible for the things that happen to me or the environment in which I find myself. Nor is it predestined, fate the author of my fortunes or misfortunes. Innocence and guilt are mere words without meaning to the law of consciousness, except as they reflect the state of consciousness itself. The consciousness of guilt calls forth condemnation. Consciousness of lack produces poverty. Man everlastingly objectifies the state of consciousness in which he abides, but he has somehow or other become confused in the interpretation of the law of cause and effect. He has forgotten that it is the inner state which is the cause of the outer manifestation. As within, so without. and in his forgetfulness he believes that an outside God has his own particular reason for doing things, such reasons being beyond the comprehension of mere man, or he believes that people are suffering because of past mistakes which have been forgotten by the conscious mind. Or again, that blind chance alone plays the part of God. One then man will realize that his own I amness is the God he has been seeking throughout the ages, and that his own sense of awareness, his consciousness of being, is the one and only reality. The most difficult thing for man to really grasp is this, that the I amness in himself is God. It is his true being or Father state, the only state he can be sure of. The Son, his conception of himself, is an illusion. He always knows that he is, but that which he is an illusion created by himself, the Father. In an attempt at self-definition, the discovery reveals that all that I have believed God to be, I am. I am the resurrection and the life, John 11:25, is a statement of fact concerning my consciousness. For my consciousness resurrects or makes visibly alive that which I am conscious of being. I am the door, John 10:2, 10:7, 10:9. All that ever came before me are thieves and robbers, John 10:8. Shows me that my consciousness is the one and only entrance into the world of expression. That by assuming the consciousness of being or possessing the thing which I desire to be or possess is the only way by which I can become it or possess it. That any attempt to express this desirable state in ways other than by assuming the consciousness of being or possessing it is to be robbed of the joy of expression and possession. I am the beginning and the end, Revelation 1:8, 22:13, reveals my consciousness as the cause of the birth and death of all expression. I am hath sent me, Exodus 3:14, reveals my consciousness to be the Lord which sends me into the world in the image and likeness of that which I am conscious of being, to live in a world composed of all that I am conscious of. I am the Lord and there is no God beside me, Isaiah 45:5, declares my consciousness to be the one and only Lord, and beside my consciousness there is no God. Be still and know that I am God, Psalm 46:10, means that I should still the mind and know that consciousness is God. Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain, Exodus 27. I am the Lord, that is my name, Isaiah 42:8. Now that you have discovered your I am, your consciousness to be God, do not claim anything to be true of yourself that you would not claim to be true of God. For in defining yourself, you are defining God. That which you are conscious of being is that which you have named God. God and man are one. You are your Father, and your Father and you are one. John 10:30. Your unconditioned consciousness, or I am, and in which you are conscious of being, are one. The conceiver and the conception are one. If your conception of yourself is less than that which you claim as true of God, you have robbed God, the Father, because you bear witness of the Father or conceiver. Do not take the magical name of God, I am, in vain, for you will not be held guiltless. You must express all that you claim yourself to be. Name God by consciously defining yourself as your highest ideal. Well, this is the most fundamental teaching of Neville Goddard. Sorry guys, I forgot to mention end of the chapter, but this was the end of the chapter. I'm starting my explanation, my commentary. It seems very, very complicated when you first read this chapter for the first time, but it's truly not that complicated. I guess it can get complicated depending on which angle you decide to pursue these teachings from. I myself has been raised pretty close to the Buddhist teachings, so when it comes to the mind being God, I can understand it more easily because as someone who has been raised in the teachings of the East and someone who has meditated for a long time, I understand the power of the mind and understand the mind as being the only thing. What I mean by the mind and consciousness being the only things. I understand that there is no separate God, or at least I believe there's no separate God. And when Neville Goddard put it so eloquently that the mind is God, it's not blasphemous. What he means by that, as the Buddha meant when he said, the mind is a forerunner of all things. Neville Goddard also said that we cannot see outside of the constructs of our own consciousness, which means that we are truly the gods of our own reality. Imagine for a second, we cannot see it outside of the constructs of our own reality, and we are only aware of our consciousness at any given moment while we're still alive and not asleep. If we were not to be the God of our own reality, it would mean that even though we can only see the construct of our own reality, that everything outside of ourselves, the world we see, touch, smell, hear, is the one who is actually controlling us. And we may fall prey to this. And oftentimes we do believe that we fall prey to the external world. And that is why those teachings of Neville Goddard are very crucial. Yes, at the beginning it might seem far-fetched, exaggerated, ooey-gooey, and esoteric. But the truth of it is that it is really trivial almost, because this is something that is common to all of us. We all have a mind, and we are all in our own rights, and not to a certain extent, but to the fuller extent that which we decided to be the gods of our own reality. Why is it hard to understand this? Because we wake up, we have an identity, a gender, etc., a nationality, a passport, and we believe this is us. We don't understand that we have chosen to be this, deliberately or not. When you sift through those teachings and really study them and really start to apply them in your life, you have to understand as a basis, you have to believe that you are God and that you are the God of your own reality. And by that, I don't mean that you are above anybody. Not something you claim to be arrogant. When we talk about someone being the god of basketball, the god of football, the god of this, the god of that, we imagine them as being head and shoulders above everybody else. When in that case, when you say I'm the god of reality, you are the god of your own reality. It means that each and every one of us has a reality, and we are the hero of this novel, so to speak. But each one of us are the hero of our own novel, which means the main character. Main character is better, because novel implies, generally speaking, that you have an epic life, so to speak. Whereas a main character in the movie, you could be, let me rephrase it. To be fair, you could have a shitty, epic life in the novel too. But when you watch a movie, the main character could be having an epic life, and a wonderful life, an inspiring life, or he could have the shittiest life, or anything in between, to be fair. So that is better. That is a better analogy. So what I mean by that is, like, there is no main character, and I say this literally. And the thing we need as a basis is to understand. Meditation is a great example, is a great tool to understand that we are the I am. The I am is the consciousness. So if you close your eyes, That's an exercise by Neville Goddard. If you close your eyes and were to say just I am and repeat it over and over and over and over again, and when you saturate your mind, and after a while you would see there's nothing else but consciousness. There's nothing else. So when you do this, but you add something to follow the I am, then you are deliberately choosing to embody and to be the person you believe yourself to be. But deliberately. Before we are aware of those teachings, we do it to a certain extent, I guess, because desires will push us to do it. But when you fully understand, you take over control, and you understand that it's not mere force, mere willpower that changes things and that changes who we are. It is our belief that we are the gods of our own reality, and the discipline of the mind and the education of the imagination that we apply to our lives. We are deliberate in our discipline of the mind. So when we choose the I am, we not only choose the I am and what follows the I am, but we are perseverant and are faithful to the I am until it saturates our mind and until it becomes the reality, not only in the 4D reality, which is our imagination in our minds, but also in the 3D reality, the one we can see, hear, smell with our senses. So you have to understand that this might seem complicated, it might be terrifying to a certain extent, and I can understand it, or in a better case, liberating and empowering and inspiring, to say the least. So don't take this lightly when you read this chapter, when you hear me reading this chapter. You are the God of your own reality. So choose what follows the I am for you. And when I say I am, it could be I am. It could be I have. Things like that. It's not limited to just I am, obviously. So whatever you want to have in your life, whatever you want to be in your life, it has to have the basis of the God of your own reality, which in other words means that you have to believe not in yourself, but in the power of your consciousness and the power of the awareness. The awareness is where you place your attention. So when you place on things you don't want to happen in your life, this will be who you will believe yourself to be. However, if you forsake the unwanted and only focus and dwell and encourage what you want to be, what is aligned with your higher self, with your higher ideal, with the person you want to be, with the things you want to have, then this will be the person you believe yourself to be, and therefore this reality will be translated before your eyes. Thank you so much for listening. I am Sebastian. I am a coach in mindset, meditation, and manifestation. If you need further assistance, coaching is available. I think I just said that, but anyway. If you want more of this type of content, please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you very soon. And if you have any questions, please leave them in the description box below. I always answer them. Thank you so much.